What if the thing stealing your strength is sitting on your plate? Welcome back to the Senior Health Podcast, where ancient wisdom meets modern science to help you stay strong, mobile, and sharp after 60. Today's episode touches something every senior has felt but few have truly understood: the slow, silent fading of strength. That moment when stairs feel steeper, when chairs feel heavier, when your legs hesitate, and you wonder if it's just age catching up. But what if it's not age at all? What if the real cause is something far more preventable and even reversible? Today's guest knows exactly which are which, because he's over 100, still walking daily, and still treating patients with the power of food and tradition. And no one is better equipped to guide us through it than a man who's seen over a century of health trends come and go, and stayed strong through them all. Dr. Hinohara, it's an honor to have you back.
Thank you, John. It's always a joy to be here, especially when we're discussing something that touches nearly every person over 60, even those who believe they're doing everything right. This conversation may start with the body, but it's really about freedom. The freedom to move with confidence, to stand without hesitation, to live without that quiet fear of becoming weak. Muscle loss is not inevitable. It's a biological response, and like most responses, it can be guided, not with effort that overwhelms, but with nourishment that restores. In today's episode, we'll explore 5 foods that support muscle recovery after 60, and I'll save the most powerful one for last. It's backed by new Japanese research and already improving lives. If you've felt slower or less steady, I invite you to stay with us. One change could make more difference than you think.
So you're saying it's not just about getting older, it's about how we feed the body as it ages.
Exactly. I've treated thousands of patients well into their 70s, 80s, even 90s, and I've seen 2 paths unfold. One leads to slow decline, the other, slow recovery. And the difference is often what you eat first. Now, this is not a conversation about trends, not protein powders or gym routines. It's about real food, simple, available ingredients that trigger a response inside your body. One that says, rebuild, reconnect, regain. And the beautiful part is, many of these foods are already familiar. They've just been forgotten, misunderstood, or used in the wrong way. What we're doing today is bringing them back, one bite at a time. So whether you're struggling with leg weakness, fatigue, or just want to protect the strength you still have, this isn't about changing everything overnight. It's about restoring what's been quietly missing. And if you stay with us to the end, I promise you'll walk away with something you can use tonight, not in theory, in practice. Because muscle loss may be common, but it is not inevitable.
That really lands with me. I remember one patient, a former school teacher in her early 70s, who told me she felt like her legs had aged 10 years in just one. No injury, no illness, just a quiet fading she couldn't explain. We looked at everything, and it turned out she was skipping the very foods her body needed to stay strong. That experience changed the way I talk about aging entirely. So let's begin there. What exactly causes this muscle loss after 60? And why does it seem to accelerate so suddenly?
The loss doesn't begin in the legs. It begins in the bloodstream. After 60, the body becomes less efficient at distributing the nutrients required to maintain muscle, especially if meals are rushed, limited, or missing key components. Over time, the muscles are underfed, even if the stomach feels full.
That makes sense. The calories might be there, but not the building blocks.
Exactly. You might eat enough but still be missing what your muscles truly need to repair and grow, especially the amino acids, minerals and fats that support daily recovery.
So we're not just talking about exercise then, we're talking about biology under pressure.
Yes, and biology that has shifted. What worked at 40 doesn't always work at 70, and without adjusting the diet, the body slowly slips into depletion.
That explains a lot. I've seen patients eat what looks like a healthy diet, fruit bowls, toast, a little yogurt, and still feel weaker every month. And I think most people blame their age, not their plate. So let's flip that. What are the first foods that actually help the body regain strength, not just prevent loss, but rebuild what's already faded?
The first is bone broth, but not the kind you buy in a box. I mean real broth, slow simmered for hours, made from marrow, rich bones, connective tissue and cartilage. When prepared this way, it delivers collagen, glycine, proline, the exact nutrients muscles need to repair and rehydrate after 60.
That's interesting because broth seems so simple, almost too gentle to do much.
And yet, that gentleness is its power. It's deeply absorbable even for aging digestion, and it starts working within hours by improving circulation and easing inflammation.
So it's not just building muscle, it's creating the environment where muscles can recover?
Exactly. The blood vessels dilate, the oxygen delivery improves, and the stiffness begins to soften. That's often the first change people feel. Not strength, but a kind of awakening in their legs.
I've had patients describe that sensation, as if their legs went from foggy to clear. Not stronger overnight, but suddenly more alive, more willing. And they often assume it's from rest or a good night's sleep, when in fact it may be food. This makes me wonder if something as humble as bone broth can shift recovery that fast. Let's keep the pace high this episode, since some of our listeners prefer to go faster. Trot your list. Doctor, what's the next?
Okay, let's go a little faster today. The next one is sardines, small oily fish that are often overlooked, but they carry a powerful mix of omega-3 fatty acids, calcium and vitamin D. These nutrients don't just protect the muscles, they also strengthen the nerves that signal them. And for seniors, that nerve-muscle connection is often the first thing to fade.
I think most people associate sardines with heart health, not muscle recovery.
That's true, but it's all connected. When the nerves fire cleanly and the joints are well lubricated, the muscles can actually respond to movement again.
So the benefit isn't just structural, it's neurological too?
Yes, especially in the hips and lower back, where so much balance depends on timing and control. Sardines also support the small, stabilizing muscles that prevent falls, the ones most people forget to nourish.
It's fascinating how something so small can have such broad influence. And it also makes me realize how rarely we talk about movement from the inside out. We stretch, we walk, but we don't always feed the systems that make movement possible. So what's the third food that helps keep that communication line between the brain and muscles strong?
Tofu. This is not just as protein, but as a delivery system for calm, sustained repair. Unlike meat, tofu digests more gently, especially when it's served warm in broth. This helps the body absorb its amino acids steadily, supporting overnight muscle maintenance without straining digestion.
That's something I see often. Seniors waking up more stiff when they skip protein at dinner.
Exactly. The body repairs during sleep, and if there's no fuel available, that recovery window closes too early.
So tofu before bed can actually influence how we feel in the morning.
Very much so, especially when paired with warm broth or herbs that aid circulation. It can restore the legs overnight in ways most people never associate with dinner.
That really shifts the idea of a light evening meal. It doesn't have to be empty. It just needs to be functional, thoughtful, and designed for the stage of life we're in. So let's keep going. What's another food that quietly supports this kind of muscle-first recovery?
Barley tea, or mujicha, as we call it in Japan, is one of the quiet heroes. It contains antioxidants and trace minerals that support blood flow, but more importantly, it helps regulate cortisol. When stress is lowered in the body, the muscles are far more responsive to growth and repair.
That's a connection most people wouldn't make between stress and muscle health.
But it's real and especially important after 60. Elevated cortisol can block the very hormones that tell muscles to rebuild.
So drinking something like barley tea could indirectly help muscles repair by calming the system first.
Yes, and that calm is not just emotional, it's biological. When you lower inflammation and tension internally, the body stops fighting and starts restoring.
It's remarkable how each of these foods works on a different layer. Some feed the muscle directly, others clear the path for healing to happen. And we've still got one more to go. You said earlier that the most powerful food comes last, the one backed by the newest Japanese research. So let's take our time for this one. What is the single food that might do the most to reverse muscle loss after 60?
That final food is natto, a fermented soybean dish that, for centuries, has been a part of the traditional Japanese breakfast. It's sticky, it's strong-smelling, and for many it's an acquired taste, but its effects are undeniable. Natto contains a unique enzyme called natto kinase, which improves circulation by gently thinning the blood. This helps oxygen and nutrients reach muscle tissue more efficiently, a key factor in rebuilding strength after 60. It's also packed with complete protein, meaning it offers all 9 essential amino acids, plus vitamin K2, which supports bone-muscle synergy. In a recent study by the Japanese Geriatrics Nutrition Institute, seniors who ate natto daily for 8 weeks showed measurable gains in grip strength, walking speed, and balance, without changing their exercise routines. That's the power of food when it's aligned with biology.
That's stunning, especially that last point. They didn't change their movement habits, but they still gained strength. That suggests the body is always ready to respond, even late in life, if we just give it what it's been missing.
Exactly, John. Most people assume decline is the default, but decline is often just depletion. When we restore what's missing, in this case, amino acids, circulation, and microbial balance, the body responds almost gratefully. Natto also feeds the gut in ways that enhance absorption of other nutrients, so it doesn't work in isolation. It lifts the entire system. We've seen this in rural Japan, where elders who eat natto regularly stay mobile and independent far longer. And it's not just about strength. They tend to experience fewer falls, faster healing from injuries, and even better mental clarity. It all comes back to blood flow, nutrient delivery, and daily consistency. That's what this food supports. And it does so quietly, without supplements or side effects.
It's humbling, really, to think that something so basic, not a pill, not a product, just a food, could do what medicine sometimes struggles to.
And yet that's been the truth for generations. The wisdom was always there. We are just rediscovering it now with better tools to measure its effects.
So what about the taste? Some people listening right now might be curious, but hesitant.
That's a fair question. Natto is unfamiliar for many, and its texture can be surprising. But there are ways to ease into it, mixing it with mustard, rice, or even wrapping it in seaweed. The benefits are worth the adjustment.
It reminds me of how we often resist what's unfamiliar, even when it's the exact thing we need. I can think of a dozen patients who hesitated to try something new and then came back weeks later asking why they hadn't done it sooner. Change takes courage, but knowledge makes it easier. And that's what today's conversation offers. The kind of insight that makes trying something new feel less like a gamble and more like an act of self-respect.
Beautifully said. And that's exactly the spirit I hope people carry forward. Not fear, not pressure, but curiosity and care. Because when you treat your body with respect, it often responds faster than you expect. Even after years of feeling weak or slow, change is still possible, especially when it comes from food, which speaks to the body in a language it remembers.
That message is so important, not just for seniors, but for families, caregivers, even younger listeners tuning in today.
Yes, because the earlier you begin, the more reserves you build. But even starting late is powerful. The body is always listening.
That's the gift in this conversation. Strength isn't gone. It's waiting. Waiting for a signal. Waiting for support. And what we've learned today is that support doesn't have to be complex. Sometimes it starts with a warm bowl, a humble bite, or a habit passed down from generations before us. If you've been wondering whether real change is still possible after 60, the answer is yes, and it starts right here.
Thank you for this conversation, John. These aren't just foods. They're signals to the body that strength is still needed and still possible. And my hope is that every listener takes even one idea today and makes it part of their life.
This has been one of the most eye-opening episodes we've ever done, because we didn't just talk about aging. We talked about renewal, about how the body can still respond even after decades. Dr. Hinohara, before we close, would you leave us with one line, something simple, memorable for listeners to carry with them today?
Of course. A strong body doesn't begin in the gym. It begins with what you give it every single day.
That's wisdom we can all act on. So if you're listening, ask yourself, what will you give your body today that it can truly use? Thank you for joining us on the Senior Health Podcast. We'll see you next week, stronger, smarter, and more supported than ever. Make sure you like the video, you share it with the people that need this, and subscribe so you do not miss any of our future important episodes.